in order to create the most community around us and the most peace around us, we have to learn how to be alone. And so I think women have to first address that we cannot fake it till we make it.
Yes.
Then grieve that we do feel the way that we do about ourselves, and then explore why.
Yeah.
You can't do that while worried about these. You need to do that by yourself.
Yes.
Maybe if you're serving a man or you're submissive to that man and he feels like, oh, I love when you do this submissive stuff.
Girl,
now you feel like, oh, he wants me, he needs me.
I'm like, preach, because it is your identity.
Oof.
Literally sitting on servitude.
Right.
Because that's where you get the most gratification.
That's not true, because then your identity is sitting in someone else.
Exactly. All right, babies, welcome back to More Please. Today we have a special, beautiful, talented guest, my friend Taty. And I want to just kind of run her resume by you. Number one, she's amassed over 1 million followers on social medias, period. She is a very educated queen. She has a bachelor's in psychology and women and gender studies, okay, period. And she has a testimony on her that I just feel like you guys would really be touched by. So I just want to welcome her to our couch. Welcome, Taty, to More Please.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored. What an intro.
Yeah, period. That's you.
Thank you, queen.
It wasn't hard because you did that.
No, you ate that. That was
Thank
nice.
you. Period. Okay, so we start every episode with a confession.
Okay.
And I gave her warning in the beginning, guys, just so she could get her confession together.
Okay. I would say I confess when I was younger, I was male-centered. I feel like growing up, we're ingrained as women to just be serving men. I feel like this is a hot topic right now.
Yes, it is. It is.
But listen, I don't feel I am my best servant if I'm not serving myself. So realistically, I feel like most women are ingrained and raised to be like, well, when am I going to be a wife? And when am I going to be a mother? And da-da-da-da-da. And men are very much raised to be rich, be successful.
Independent.
And so it leads us to be like an afterthought. And we leave ourselves as an afterthought. And I think I kind of fell into that at a young age. But that's a whole nother trauma conversation. I don't know.
No, but that is, because I'm like, and we could get into that. We're not going to right now. Because that goes back to like, what were like the pillars that our parents raised us on? What was the society? Because I was the same way of like, I'm a wife. I was saying that at like 14.
Yes.
Ma'am.
Yes.
I'm a wife. What are you talking about? Why is that even like the thing?
Thought.
You know? But yeah, that is very common.
It's a gag, honestly. I feel like even growing up, because my parents are still together. My parents have been together for like 30 plus years.
Same. Why are we twins?
Oh my God,
This is
Gemini
too
twins.
much.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
I love it. I admire their love, but I will say my mother is definitely like, what can I do for you guys at all times? She was waking up early. She was making us food. She was packing my lunch. She's making him his coffee. She's a server and she loves to do that. And I love that about her. She has so much love to give. But seeing that, I think also made me be like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do. And so then when trauma ensued, I'm like, wait, if I can't do what she does it make me less of a woman?
Where's my value? Ooh. And short answer, no.
Right.
But what I want to lean into is that journey. So how, and obviously plug in your story, guys. So we're going to say, Taty was wrongly diagnosed with, I'm going to say, was it a disease or a disorder? A disorder that basically told her that she wasn't going to have children. So again, when you have this identity where you feel like, I want to be a mother, I want to be a wife, and X, Y, and Z, and then that's kind of stripped from you, which is what happened.
Yep.
Your whole entire mental mindset has to change. So walk us through your journey and tell us how it changed.
Oh, okay, y'all, buckle up. So what happened was you know what's crazy? This, even me figuring out like, where do I start this story made me realize how male-centered I was even before this happened.
Yeah.
Because maybe like middle school, right? Okay. Girls are starting to develop, periods, da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, where's mine? Like,
not begging for
because what?
Stop.
And listen, still never gave a bunch of, but at the time I'm like, she got boobies, she got booty, she got hips.
Curves popping. Where's mine?
I look like a paperclip. Like, where's the vibe? So I'm frustrated, right? I'm like, Mom, something's wrong with me. Like, I'm telling you right now, take me to the doctor. Like, I'm thinking I'm a genius, right? Like, I'm thinking y'all don't know what's going on. Something's going on, and the doctor's gonna give me like a vitamin, and then boom. Boobs. Yeah. Like, I'm gonna be lit.
Like, jumpstart this process, please.
Yeah, like something's wrong. I just need a vitamin or something, right? I'm thinking in my head. So I would come home and tell her this every single day. And eventually she was like, girl, I'm going to just take you to the doctor to shut you up.
Aww.
So I'm like, okay, perfect. I'm excited.
Yeah.
We go to the doctor. The doctor sends me, she does like a bunch of tests on me, whatever. She sends me out the room. I will never forget this. I'm like sitting in the waiting room, iPod in, like kicking my feet. I'm 13.
Because nothing could possibly wrong.
Nothing. Yeah. And if there's anything wrong, she's going to fix it. So what? Like just childhood innocence of there's a fix to every problem. So I'm just kicking my feet. They bring me back into the room. I sit down. Both of my parents are in the room. I look at them. They're like really teary-eyed.
Oh,
I'm like,
oh, there?
Yes.
Oh.
So I'm looking at them very teary-eyed. And I'm like, oh, hold on. So I'm sitting on the table like, now what did you say to my parents?
Yeah.
This lady comes out her neck and she was like, well, basically what I figured out is like, long story short, you're not going to be able to have kids.
Just like that. Rude.
Hello?
What?
First of all, I'm at this point, I kind of like checked out because I'm like, wait, I thought I was about to come in here and either you were going to say like, give it another year or you were going to say like, you need to start taking vitamin, blah, blah, blah. Girl, I'm sitting there like, huh? She starts explaining, yeah, I've diagnosed you with this disorder. It's basically called premature ovarian failure and your ovaries basically failed already. So you won't be able to carry a child. It's just, and then we can take you to a fertility clinic. We can do this, we can do that.
Before they've even started. Jesus.
Craziness, right? So I'm like, wait, hold on. I'm starting to check out. At this point, I'm starting to just hear like, wah.
Yeah, no, because even saying to a 13-year-old, we can take you to a fertility clinic. What?
Hello? Huh? Like, what are we talking about right now? It was just a lot going on. So I checked out. And I think, again, that is where my complex came in of like serving, because even in that moment I felt like I needed to serve my parents by not being upset, because if I'm upset now you're going to be even more upset, and so I don't want to see you upset, so let me act like I'm not bothered by this, which again is like servitude, which
and people pleasing
very much complex. I said, oh, let me spare them, although I'm devastated, right? So didn't cry, whatever, went home, locked myself in the room, very much devastated. The next like couple months, years was really me feeling, will a man ever love me? Well, what happens if I can't have a man's child?
Yeah.
Man, male-centered. Like, what date do I tell somebody this on? The first date? Do I have to tell them on the third date? Because what if they want their own kids and I can't do it?
Wow.
Will I have...
As a teen, which is crazy.
Like 13 years old.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here thinking about... I'm 13 going on 30 at this point, thinking about how will I be able to serve in the highest form, because my scope of womanhood at that time was so small of, well, my superpower as a woman is that I can have a baby.
Yeah.
And I don't have that. And then the only other thing that I have as a woman is body, and I don't have that either.
Ooh.
So who am I? And all of those things are so male-centered of like, how do I serve men if I don't have body and if I don't have womb? And so I think those next years were really depressing and devastating for me. I was trying to figure out how I added up next to the women around me, because something that I know now about infertility and just fertility issues in general, it is the invisible disorder. It's a silent killer. Yes. And so I'm feeling like I'm the only one in the world with this.
Yeah, because nobody talks about it.
Nobody talks about it. And we're 13. So, and I'm looking at every other girl like, all of y'all are normal and I'm not. So, but chances are, maybe if I grabbed 5 of the girls in middle school, 2 to 3 of them would have infertility issues 20 years from now.
No, 1,000%. Even like, and people don't even include this, the common rate of freaking miscarriages, it's 1 in 4.
High.
So like I had a miscarriage before my first child, right? I went to the doctor and I remember how jarring it was, because doctors are so like blunt. They're not nice about this. Like they're like, okay, so you had a miscarriage, X, Y, and Z. And then they're like, do you want to get on birth control? I'm like, wait a minute. Because
hold on.
I just debate what is happening. And then I'm like, what is happening? They're like, oh no, 1 in 4 pregnancies and a miscarriage, especially your first one. You're fine. Just keep trying. And I was like what? It's so like tossed aside. It's an afterthought to people, to where you don't even feel vulnerable enough to come out and be like, hey, I'm dealing with this.
Yes.
Because people will just kind of like
Shush it off.
Oh, it's fine.
And that's how I felt at the time. I'm like, well, girl, how am I going to tell my peers about this? Everybody is 13 on a playground.
Yeah,
they're
it's
not even
a
going to
conversation
understand
you can even have
what we're talking about. They're trying to have me in fertility clinics. I'm going and I'm sitting in the waiting room. And people are thinking that I'm in there for my mom. Realistically, it's me. So I'm sitting in there with 30-year-old women, and I'm 13.
So how long did it take for this like error to be corrected?
Ooh, girl, like 7, 8 years of my life, all of my teens, my baby going into my 20s. So
all through college and everything.
Yeah.
Wow.
All of that. It was just, honestly, it was a really dark time, like throughout my teenage years of trying to discover myself and who am I as a woman and all of these things. And then I had a best friend at the time who was like, I broke down to her one day. We must have saw a fertility ad or something.
Yeah.
She was like, why? So I was vulnerable and I told her what happened. And she was like, I'm not feeling that. We need to get another opinion.
Period.
So
Yes, friend.
So we went and I got another opinion, which was honestly traumatic to have to go through all the testing and everything again. Yeah. And then she was like, yeah, I think that was, I don't know why she said that. That was a misdiagnosis. I said, girl.
Not 8 years of my life that my self-esteem has been like,
ruined.
Stop it on.
What? So I'm like, hold on, what? She basically like shows me a bunch of diagrams and shows me why she thinks she said that and this and that. And she was like, yeah, when it's time for you to have a baby, you may have to try a little harder, but it's not giving you, like you can carry, your womb is fine. So I said, oh. This, honestly, I had spent so many years trying to accept what happened that I almost was kind of like, girl, I almost don't care that you're saying this right now because
you're like, I've already worked through this.
I've already did the work. So what was the point of this? But now that I know that all of those years was me having to deconstruct, why do I care if a man's gonna love me if I can't have his kid? And what date, like, why am I so focused on this? How do I feel? And so doing that growth is what brought me to YouTube, is what brought me to being able to talk to other young girls and say like, hey, you come first. Men are not all that. We don't have to worry about that. And I'm telling you from personal experience because it's not that deep.
It's not that
really
deep.
Not, even if I never got re-diagnosed.
Okay, but we got to slow down because there's so many things. You know my brain. You know my brain.
Yes.
So 2 things. Before we got on camera, guys, we were just like chit-chat catching up. And we were talking about the rebirth. Because we are both Geminis, we constantly go through the cycle of like rebirth. We've specifically brought up the analogy of like the butterfly and breaking out of the cocoon. So during this process of cocoonery, which is what we'll call it, you went through a lot. You had a lot of realizations. And then obviously you have now broken out. Where would somebody start? If somebody's in the dark depression phase right now, where do they start?
Okay, so controversial.
Okay,
right?
We love a controversy.
But I know people love to say, like with confidence, like, just fake it till you make it, right? I hear this all the time. I'm going to tell you right now, that don't work, girl. It don't work because when you go home at night and you don't have anybody to fake it around, you're going to feel it again. And so then you create this mask layer of yourself. And since we're talking about the cocoon, a caterpillar can't fake being a butterfly. At the end of the day, if it's not ready and if it's not a butterfly, you're still a caterpillar. So I think the fake it till you make it thing is the problem. So I think step 1 in addressing that in this cocoon is addressing that you're in the cocoon and accepting that. I think that's like a grief process that women struggle with because we are so attached to self and everything around us. It's kind of difficult to feel comfortable in this cocoon because it's like, wait, hold on. I'm scared of this space. I don't know what's going on in this space. It feels tight. It feels restricting. I want to get out of this cocoon. Yeah. It's dark. But sometimes it's a perspective shift of it's warm in here. It's actually safe in here. Maybe I'm not ready to come out of this cocoon, or what lesson do I have to learn in this cocoon in order to become this butterfly that I want to be so bad.
Isolation is beautiful.
Yes. And I think sometimes as women, we're so ingrained to be in community with women and to be a partner to somebody and to be a mother to somebody. And so the thought of being alone is also a dig a lot of times, like sidebar. Because if you watch like any shows, any housewives, anything, it's like, but where's your ring?
Where's your man?
Where's your man? But you don't have a man though.
Exactly.
So you don't have any kids though. And so that is always the dig of like, you're lonely though.
You're an old hag.
You're a hag. You're old and you're lonely and no one loves you and you have nobody. That's always said. So I think that kind of relates to the cocoon of feeling like I'm lonely, I have nobody, I'm in this by myself.
Yeah.
But in order to create the most community around us and the most peace around us, we have to learn how to be alone. And so I think women have to first address that we cannot fake it till we make it.
Yes.
Then grieve that we do feel the way that we do about ourselves, and then explore why. Who taught me this? Who told me this? What experiences in my life shaped me into feeling how I do about myself, feeling how I do about relationships and others? And that takes isolation. You can't do that while you're worried about serving this man.
Yes.
You can't do that while worried about these. You need to do that by yourself.
Yes.
And that's okay. It's okay to be by yourself. Be by yourself, girl. And I like what you said about figuring out, like, who am I doing this for? Like, is this for me? Like, what am I doing this for? Because, again, I know it's current controversy, but when people talking about, like, oh, I like to serve and things like that, right? Cool. You can like to serve. I totally understand that.
Sister.
But sometimes we have to ask ourselves, why? Is it because I just like to serve and the act of serving in general, just on its basis, makes me feel good? Or is it because serving makes me feel good because when somebody else feels good about something I'm doing, it then validates my purpose. So that's why I like to serve, because the gratification of, oh, I did something good for my man.
Yeah.
Oh, he liked that. That makes me feel enough. That makes me feel secure and I'm worth something.
No, 1,000%.
Is that why?
If they that's what I'm saying. If they decide they're not going to say thank you or they're not going to be grateful, like,
Then
I know a lot of people like, they didn't even say thank you. Okay, but were you doing it for a thank you, or were you doing it because you just like to do it?
Clock it.
You don't need that. You don't need.
No, because what did you do it for then? And that's why I think a lot of times when people say, oh, I like to serve and I just like to be submissive and I like to do these things, maybe, or maybe you like the gratification of what, maybe if you're serving a man or you're submissive to that man and he feels like, oh, I love when you do this submissive stuff. Girl, now you feel like, oh, he wants me, he needs me.
Is it like, oh, I'm like, preach, because is your identity literally sitting on servitude?
Right.
Because that's where you get the most gratification.
And then
you've identified with that because that makes you feel good.
Yes.
That's
not true, because then your identity is sitting in someone else.
Exactly.
Because if you don't feel whole or worthy or enough unless you're serving someone else and your identity is wrapped in servitude, then your identity is wrapped in whoever you're serving.
Exactly. And then not only that, you're doing yourself a disservice because you don't know how to rest. Because you feel anxiety when you sit in here and you can't let other people serve you because you're like, no, you need to learn how to rest. You need balance. Okay, again, we're not going to get into that. Exactly. Okay, so we're coming back to it. I feel like when it comes to vulnerability with your men about these past traumas, we need a section on that. Because I will say, when I had my past trauma, getting married and being with my man, Chris is the first person that I've ever like divulged everything to. And that was hard. Because when you're married, they're like, everything's on the table. I'm like, everything. So that was a struggle. How did you divulge that with your man? Because you and your man have been together for 3 years. That is like the one. And obviously you've been through this big old trauma.
It was a lot.
Okay.
Honestly, I did this very early.
Okay.
Because it was something that I learned throughout the way. Day three. By the way, this happened to me and you need to know this. Because it shaped who I am. And there are some good things that come with that. And there are some tough things that come with that. I won't say bad things because I don't like to say that about things that our trauma causes in us. That doesn't mean that they're bad things. They're just tougher things. And so I think it was so important to just get it out the way up front. Now, I'm not saying trauma dump on whoever you are dealing with.
Please don't.
Because a lot of times people overshare in order to feel closeness.
Connected.
And so,
because the trauma bonding is real.
Very real. So I don't like that. I don't like to do that. But me and my man were friends first.
Okay.
So I think I felt safer in having that conversation because it was like, really, love and romance aside, you're my homie.
Yeah.
And I need to talk to you about this. And so that was good. But I also think women, this is important to me. A lot of times I hear the thing of like, well, he's a man, so, their communication is terrible or the vulnerability is da-da-da-da.
What?
Who let that happen?
No.
He's a grown man, though. So at what point did he get to skip the process of growing up? I don't really like that. And so I think it's important for women to kind of test that and see, like, are you able to be vulnerable with your partner? Are you able to tell him things that you've gone through, things that you may be going through, what you're feeling, and how does he respond?
What level of emotional intelligence are you at?
Yes.
That's important.
Especially if you are Miss I like to serve, because does he like to serve? Because that would be him serving you, and being able to be a safe space, being able to hear you ask questions, help you explore yourself.
Yeah.
So if you've proven yourself to be someone I can trust with all things, because I think a lot of times women cut out the like emotional aspect, but like, because women think that men aren't emotional, but like anger is an emotion, right?
Ooh,
and men love to be angry,
emotion,
right?
Yep.
So if I were to see that my man were to exhibit some type of anger issue, I don't know that I would trust you to lead.
No,
because
that's a fact.
You can get angry with a service worker, you could get angry with, and now I don't want to submit to that.
It's too volatile, it's too chaotic. But I'm like, and this is the thing, no psychology degree, but I'll be picking people apart, because I'm like, if you're angry, there is a root cause of this anger.
Yes.
And normally that has to do with your feelings being hurt in some type of way. So let's get to the root of it, babe. And I break it down. Luckily, I have married a very emotional, intelligent man. He's an Aquarius, like right on that little Pisces cusp. So he be wanting to be talking about everything.
Yes.
But
emotion.
Exactly. But I like that of like, it is not a bad thing for a man to be vulnerable. In fact, I prefer my man to be vulnerable, because I need him to be able to come to me, and then we can create a solution together. But you bottling all that stuff up, they're like, I like my man tough. I don't want a soft man. Okay, well, I need somebody that will sit and actually express their concerns with me.
Yeah. I think that's the best leader. I think a lot of times the depiction, and maybe men need to hear this, a lot of times the depiction of what women want as a leader is this big, strong man that is just stoic and never flows and is just beats his chest. And it's like, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I look at my man as his most masculine when he is just sitting there and listening to me vent about my feelings, and he's exploring that with me and asking me questions and getting to the root with
Concern.
me. Ooh,
yeah, you're like, oh.
I feel protected. I think a lot of times women are worried about, oh yeah, is he protecting me on the street and and he'll fight for me. But are you protecting me in the house? Are you protecting my feelings? And if so, I can submit to that because I trust you. And so what do you need? But what I won't do is be serving and I'm not served back, because eventually I'll run out of something to serve you.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to do that.
No, that's a fact.
We need to even it out.
And agreed. It's like when you give me a reason to want to serve you, I will do it better, babe. Like I will be like, what do you need? Because you have just made me feel so good.
Yes.
Where I'm like, wow, I feel so supported by you. I will cook for you. I will clean for you. And I will do some things after dinner because you make me feel so happy to be your wife.
Yes. And that takes time. I feel like that people don't understand, because I will say I am much more submissive now in my relationship than I was when we first started dating.
Of course.
Because hold on.
But even that, do you expect me, as the great woman that I am, and I already know the great woman that you are, to just throw it all to you immediately? No, because if that was the case, then I would have thrown it away a few times. No, you need to prove to me that I can trust you with all of, this baggage, this vulnerability, all of these things. And then, baby, you'll have the best. Everything
that you could even think of and more. Because realistically, I'm tired. I don't want to have to be hard and tough and this and that and be a leader. I've led myself throughout my whole life. So I had to make sure that in this relationship, I could trust him to lead. And that doesn't take a month. That doesn't take 6 months. You had to show me for some time.
Yeah, I had to let my guard down.
You can consistently be a leader. And then eventually, through not only time, but work. And I will say a lot of times people don't think that relationships are work. Girl.
No, they are. Even that. Our parents have been together forever. My parents have been married for 40 years.
Period.
And they will say, marriage is not hard, but marriage is work.
Yes.
They say that to me all the time. And I did not get it until I got a husband, to where I'm like, no, this is the easiest thing that I have done. Everything gets better in marriage when you start to let that guard down, vulnerability grows. You guys know each other better physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and then you can operate as a team in unison. That's why equally yoked is so freaking important. It's so important to have somebody that's aligned with you, that understands your past, present, and understands where you want to go in the future.
Amen. I get that. That's listen. Realistically, I feel like with submission and things like that, I think women don't understand that it's okay. You don't have to come off the bat serving and this and that, because it honestly does a disservice to your man.
Yeah.
I want him to become his best version. And had I come into this relationship already being this submissive, anything you want is that, he wouldn't have grown into who he is now. It took a lot of hard conversations. It took a lot of healing on his part as well.
Yes.
It took digging through a lot of maybe internalized misogyny that men don't realize that they have. Because you could be a great man, but you're still a man.
Exactly.
And so you may have some internalized misogyny that you just didn't visit. Yeah. Let's visit that. Let's visit your trauma.
Society didn't just affect us as women. It affects men too.
Yes. Yeah. And so in order for me to trust you as a leader, I need to trust that you can lead yourself into dark places and then get yourself back out. And so I think men always want to be looking forward. I need to trust that in order for you to lead me, you are able to lead yourself backwards to revisit the things that you needed to fix.
Yes.
And then lead yourself back out. And now you can lead me out with you.
No, 1,000%. Because I need you to go ahead, babe. Check the dark spots.
Oh, yes.
Make sure there ain't nobody around the corner. Right. Then double back, grab me.
And let's go.
And confidently leave me out.
Right. Now you could lead.
Yeah.
Grab my hand. I'm following you where you go. But I'm not, have you visited? Have you gone back? Have you looked at some potential mommy trauma? Some daddy trauma?
Some mommy trauma. Accountability in all aspects, even exes. Please be accountable, because I need you to know that it was not all old girl. No,
yes.
Sometimes they be crazy. Okay. But you had a part to play, and I need you to be able to be man enough to say, hey, I didn't handle that situation right.
Right.
I want to learn from
flag.
that.
I hate.
She was crazy. It was all no. It can't be all her.
It can't.
Because
why would you there?
You were sitting there with her. So
why would you there?
That crazy?
Right.
Yeah.
So that's a whole nother tangent. That we just. What's the next tangent?
Okay. So, but your man was on board with all of your trauma, and you picked up and you moved forward.
Yes.
Now when you are counseling young girls, women our age and older, you feel like you have the story and the education to be able to steer them in the right direction. Let's circle back around and talk to our ladies that are sitting in their season of singleness and their solitude. How do you say, okay, that wifedom, motherhood, and all of these are on people's agenda. If I'm sitting here, I feel like I've done my work and I'm sitting and waiting. What is the advice for that? Like, I've already done my mirror work. Everything's clear. I'm ready for my person. How do we manifest bringing that person to us?
Okay, so this is another conversation that may get a little spiritual, but I think it's flipping the perspective of your waiting season, right? Okay. So a lot of times people feel that I'm waiting, I may be waiting for God to show me something, I'm waiting for the next step, I'm waiting for my journey. Like, let's say you're going up this mountain, right? And this mountain is you trying to find love and your purpose and this, and that. And sometimes you're tired. It's like, okay, I did the work of getting this far in the mountain, and now I'm standing here looking for what I was supposed to get at the top of this mountain. But sometimes the waiting season is reflection of all the things we learned on this mountain, of looking around the mountain and saying, oh my God, wait, maybe the gift in this journey was what I'm looking at right now. Maybe I'm still looking for my next mountain because I don't know how to sit still in where I'm at right now and enjoy the fruits of that labor. So I think, like, for example, with my relationship, it came when I wasn't looking for it.
Same.
And I think when you want something so bad, if you feel like you've done the work on yourself and you feel like, well, I still haven't gotten it and I'm still wanting it, maybe you're not done doing the work.
Yeah, I was like, maybe there's more work.
Maybe there's more work to be done. If you're still feeling that this is the thing that is going to complete you, or this is the thing that gives you purpose.
Because the point of the work is to feel good by yourself and to feel like I am worthy as I am by myself. Doesn't matter.
Yes.
But if you're still waiting for that, like,
what's next? Because especially in society, we're always what's next. We can't just sit still.
Yeah.
And I think maybe sometimes it's enjoying, like, we didn't spend all this time in the cocoon and then finally break out of this cocoon and being this butterfly to, like, go back into the cocoon. And so I think if you did all this cocoon work and now you're this, like, beautiful butterfly that feels like, you know what, I don't have to serve, I don't have to do this. If it comes, it's great. If I find somebody that I want to serve and is deserving, great. But if not, I'm so excited to serve myself with all these tools that I just learned. If we're not there, then maybe we need to get back in the cocoon for a second.
1,000%. And having the desire is not the issue.
No.
Absolutely have the desire, but the attachment is. Detach yourself from something that you feel like is going to level you up, because, again, you're identifying with the servitude or, like, the possession. And it's like, no, you don't need any of that.
Possession. That's a whole nother tangent, girl. That's a whole nother tangent.
But there's Guys, we could literally talk forever. We're not
All day.
going to. So we've gone through our past traumas, came out on the other side,
Period.
rebirth as our beautiful butterfly. We have the man of your dreams, the one that you're going to move forward with. Okay. So what do you want out of your future motherhood, wifedom? Now that you have like different views about being a wife, what is it going to look like for you? What do you want?
Good question.
Yeah.
I think, well, something that I'm focusing on now is, in order for me to continue unlearning, because I feel like life is just a continuous process of unlearning and relearning and things. So I think right now, in learning different forms of servitude, I'm also learning how to serve my community in different ways as far as women, right? So not only am I having these conversations and, you know, talking about what I've learned in my experiences, now I have things where I do like monthly women's events, right? And so women will come and we can do a paint and sip, or maybe we'll do a heels dance class, or maybe we'll do a self-defense class. And maybe it's just something once a month where women can come and be excited to be around other women and bask in that. And I think that is something that I'm really focused on in the new season, of just like building community in women, because once again, society has built us to see each other as competitors.
Yes.
Because, well, she could take the man of my dreams. And if I don't get in front of her, then she gonna get the man before I get the man.
Yeah.
And she's a threat. I don't want it to be that. I want it to be, she's an ally, she's an asset to my life. And so I think as I continue into this new season, it's about the importance of friendships and having meaningful women in your life. And these can be allies for me as I step into motherhood and wifedom. I feel like that experience will be so transformational for me. It's what we're talking about, just a rebirth. And I think I'm stepping into that season of my own rebirth, of like, you know what? Hold on. I want more women around. I want more women around me to lift me. I want to lift more women. I want community.
More women, more community, more life, more love.
Period.
Yeah. And honestly, this is the perfect timing, because you'll need it. When you become a mom, again, we realize all these like expectations that we have to unlearn those, because every situation is different. Even when you get married, your parents have been married. It's not your marriage, babe.
Yes.
You have to unlearn all of that, and you have to forge your own way. So this is going to be so freaking beautiful. But I just want to say, one, thank you for coming on and giving us your energy and your just like your expertise, because you really know what you're talking about. You really have like a love for and a passion for the things that you do. And I don't take that lightly, because you could be anywhere right now and you chose to sit and come in this LA traffic to sit down with me.
Of course.
But I want you to tell everybody where they can find you, what you're working on, how we can support, because we're not stingy with community here. So if you support me, then you support my friends. Okay. So tell them how that they can support you.
Well, so thank you for having me on, first and foremost. It was an honor to sit and talk to you. I love and admire you so much.
Thank you.
If any of us want to talk with me further, I do one-on-one coaching services with women. I do confidence coaching. I also do relationship coaching. So we talk about all those things. That's one thing. I also am online at Taty Cokley. Everywhere we talk about women's empowerment, self-love, dating, crying, laughing, everything in between. And then I also have 1-800 Self-Love Club, which is my women's empowerment group. We do events every single month, something for the girls to come, especially in LA. You know, building friendships out here is whole nother tangent, but that is something we do every single month. If you're in the LA area, soon to be New York, don't speak on it too soon, but
can't wait.
Yes, we do that as well. So all things women empowerment, all things self-love, come find me, chat. We can have more talks like this.
Love. I will make sure to leave all of her handles below, and we will just see you guys later. Talk to you next week with love. Bye, babies.